Like so many other cities, Baltimore, Maryland changed its rental laws, forcing us out of the short-term rental game and into the midterm rental game. Meaning, we're only allowed to rent our property for 90 days or more at a time. We had been killing it running our property as a short-term rental. So the question is, are we still able to make a profit? We'll tell you all about it in this video. We're Anna and Josiah, not quite newbies, but not quite big-time real estate investors. Today, we're sharing the truth behind running a midterm rental in Baltimore, Maryland. We'll share our profit and loss for 2023, which was the first full year running our property as a midterm rental, plus some pros and cons. Stay tuned. We're going to jump right in with our gross revenue for 2023, which was
$33,132.93.
We're not going to do that in unison every time we're saying a number.
We are.
So that was pretty good. We had 2 months of vacancy and 3 bookings for the year.
Property tax, we spent $3,874.36. And we already know for 2024 that our taxes are going up. Baltimore City is so great and reliable at raising our taxes.
We spend a lot of taxes in the city. It's crazy. So these are all, we're going to run through our expenses, if you can tell. Insurance, $1,307.
So in this next chunk, our mortgage payment. So I'm going to divide it up between our interest that we spent and then the part that actually went towards our principal to pay off our loan. So the interest was $4,315 and principal pay down was $3,767.
Nice. That we didn't pay. Somebody else paid that. Now utilities were, so this is water, gas, and electricity. This was $3,446.
And just with the 3 bookings that we had, they're all through Airbnb. We paid Airbnb commissions of $3,943. It's roughly about $1,000 for every 3-month stay.
They take a lot. Occupancy tax, so this is paid to Baltimore City, is $1,080.
And we try to save about $400 for big expenses across each month of the year, and we call that capital expenditures. So we save $4,800 of CapEx expense.
Yes, which we already spent over that for 2024 because we had to get a new furnace. We have QuickBooks and Guesty just for the management of the property, and we spent $572 on that, and that's split between our other property. So that's like half if you only had one property.
That's probably the area that we could trim a little bit in expenses, but we're gonna look at that this year. And all the turnovers, the cleanings, we paid $0 because you're looking at your cleaners right here. Our gross number was $27,107 of expenses, and the profit that we were able to take from the year was $6,025.85.
Yay!
So
we're okay, happy with that. I think we can do better, but not bad.
Yeah, and that includes the 2 months that we basically didn't have people at the house in between bookings.
So here's why we think our midterm rental is set apart from other midterm rentals in the city. So we think our Airbnb really stands out because of the design, specifically the kitchen. We think whenever people walk in, they're like, oh wow, this kitchen is so cool. We're like, medium.
Who are the brains behind the design?
Yours truly.
Yeah, Anna really handles most of the design elements of the house. She asked me, but then she's already going to go with what she thinks is best. She has asked me.
I've taken his ideas in account.
It's a pity ask.
At least I asked. It also has like pretty cute bedrooms. The ceilings have exposed beams, which we'll put pictures up. So people really like that.
Cool wallpaper in one of the bedrooms too.
Yeah. So I think that's our biggest advantage. Just it stands out. It's only a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, and we're honestly at the top price in the market for how small the house is and just having only 1 bedroom. So I think that's why.
Yeah, I do think what helped set us apart early on was running it as a short-term rental. We were able to get a lot of reviews on our Airbnb page, and then when we transitioned it to a medium-term rental, it really helped kind of stand us apart.
Yeah. So here's some of our reviews. One of our biggest lessons we learned from running our first property as a midterm rental is that design really does matter. So that's why this house, we put a lot of effort into the design of this house. And as you can see, it's super cute with our pink ceiling. So we're doing that here. And then we're also going to focus on design in our next house that we are starting in July.
Yeah, we're super excited. So we're moving there. We should have this rented starting July. We're going to try to rent it ASAP as soon as we move out. So if you're considering getting in the medium-term rental game, you're going to probably wonder where you're going to get your renters from. So last year, all of our renters came from Airbnb, which was kind of surprising, That's where we've gotten the bulk of our renters. This year we have done one lease with somebody off all the platforms, but we are kind of in a lot of different areas.
So we are on Furnish Finders, that's a really big one. We're on a bunch of Facebook pages for like Canton and traveling nurses. We've gotten some people interested in it, and we've shown the house to people in those groups, but nobody's booked. We're on Verbo, of course, maybe apartments.com, but those are a little bit smaller. I would say be on Airbnb, Verbo, and then Furnish Finders. Those are going to be your top 3. Also, I have reached out to traveling nurse agencies, just telling them, hey, we have some midterm rental properties if you want to place someone here. They did get back to us, and we did get one person who reached out because of that. So you can try there. You can also try reaching out to the hospitals, like an HR department. I've done that with Johns Hopkins. We haven't had too much success there, but it's a good place to start.
So when you're trying to look at the people that could potentially rent your place, it's nice to have a pool of customers where you can choose who's going to be the best fit for your property. And we've noticed that.
Yes. So the first person we ever rented to, they were not a traveling nurse, and it was the worst possible situation we could have as a midterm rental person. The worst thing happened. We're not going to go into details, but it was awful. So we learned from that experience just to vet whoever you're going to rent to a little bit more. And we've noticed that when you rent to traveling nurses, they're usually the best guests. They don't complain. You don't communicate with them a lot. So yeah, definitely vet your people. Let's talk pros and cons, starting with our pros.
So the first pro is with a medium-term rental, you're going to make more than you would if you just rented it on a yearly basis to somebody.
Second pro is it's a lot more hands-off than a short-term rental. You just have less communication with the guests, and it's just going to be streamlined a little bit better.
Another pro is that usually especially nurses, they're used to going into these homes and only living there for 3 months. So some of them have even came with all of their linens, pots and pans, and basically provide everything from themselves, even though they're in the house, and they kind of just put our stuff to the side or in the basement. So really there's hardly any expense that we've noticed with turning over the property. It's not like we're having to replace things as much.
And overall, your monthly expenses are way less than a short-term rental because you don't have all those cleanings. Our short-term rental can have 6 cleanings a month. We pay $200 a month, or $200 every clean, $220 actually. And with a midterm rental, it's going to be every 3 to 4 months that you're turning it over. Now for some cons.
The first con is most people bring dogs when they're booking your house. They usually can have 1 or 2 pets. They're used to traveling with them, which we like to have dogs and we are pet friendly, but there is added wear and tear having pets in your house.
And in general, they're just going to obviously use the house more than someone might use it when they're there for a short term. So they're going to actually use the kitchen, use the fridge and the stove and the cabinets. So things do get banged up a little bit more than a short-term rental.
Probably the biggest con would be you have a larger chance of vacancy in between these stays. So when a nurse is booking, they might not have the start of their contract line up when your house is going empty. So you could potentially have a couple weeks of empty space where you're making no money.
Versus a long-term rental, you're going to have less vacancy. And then lastly, obviously, if you get a bad tenant, you're kind of stuck with them for 3 months unless you can get them kicked out for some reason. But with a short-term rental, you might only be stuck with them for a week or a couple days. So like we said earlier, we're about to start renting this house as a midterm rental. We're very excited because we think this house is even better than our other house. And we love our other house. We think that house is great. So this house is bigger, more square footage. It has 3 bathrooms instead of just 1. And it's in a better area. It's like 2 blocks from a ton of restaurants, and the parking is easier than the other place. So we think this place is going to do even better, and hopefully we can charge even more. We'll see. Stay tuned.
So as you know, we're moving out of this house and we're tallying up the stuff and how much it costs to stock a kitchen, buy the linens, that kind of stuff. So if you're curious on startup costs for a midterm rental, let us know in the comments below and we can put out a video on those costs.
And we'll also send you our Excel sheet that has everything detailed and the price and where we bought it. So you can get that too, which is super helpful. This is our 3rd house that we've started up. So we're kind of experts.
Don't let your ego get ahead of you.
Thanks for watching. If you like this type of video and are curious about other houses and the profit that we made on them, like our short-term rental in Luray, Virginia, watch this video next and we'll tell you the profit, loss, pros and cons. Bye!
Bye-bye.